Hello everyone who love to explore the mysteries of the ancient world. Welcome to today's video where we will embark on a fascinating, dark, but equally majestic journey in Greek mythology. What is our topic today? It is Hades, the mysterious, cold, and powerful god of the underworld. If you ever thought that Hades was a scary villain, a cruel man with a heart of ice, then stop for a moment, because in today's video, we will turn the pages of mythology together to discover the truth behind this god, Hades. The name evokes the image of darkness, of death, of wandering souls in the depths. But is he really as scary as we think? Is the underworld that he rules a place of only suffering and despair, like the hell in the stories we often hear? Or is it a more complex realm where justice and order reign? Today, we will not only learn about Hades as a god, but also explore his kingdom, the thrilling stories surrounding his life, and even secrets you may not have heard of. So, prepare your hearts, because we are about to enter the gates of the underworld, where the light of the sun never reaches, where the groans of souls mingle with the rushing waters of the Styx. Are you ready? Let's begin this journey together now. Before we dive into the underworld, let's meet our main character today, Hades. Who is he? Hades is one of the three most powerful brothers in Greek mythology, along with Zeus, the god of the sky and thunder, and Poseidon, the god of the vast ocean. These three brothers were all children of the titan Cronus and the goddess Rhea. But the story of their birth is not simple. Cronus, fearing the prophecy that he would be overthrown by his own children, swallowed each of them as they were born. Hades, along with his siblings, endured years of imprisonment in their father's womb, until Zeus led a rebellion, freed them all, and together they fought against the Titans in the great battle known as the Titanomachy. After winning, the three brothers divided the world between them. Zeus, as ruler, chose the sky as his realm, where he reigned supreme on Mount Olympus. Poseidon received the sea, where he stirred up the waves with his trident. And Hades, he was given the underworld where the souls of the dead go. Sounds like Hades was at a disadvantage, right? But don't jump to conclusions. Hades didn't protest or fight. He quietly accepted his role and became the king of a realm that no one dared to enter. So what was Hades like? If you picture him as a cruel, ruthless man who relished the pain of others, you'd be wrong. In Greek mythology, Hades was not the god of death. That role belonged to Thanatos, another god. Hades was simply the administrator of the underworld, the one who kept order in the world of souls. He was cold, stern, but above all fair. He is impartial. He does not discriminate between rich and poor. He does not care whether you are a hero or a sinner when you are alive. To Hades, all souls are equal before his throne. But why is Hades so misunderstood? Perhaps because his role is associated with death, something that people have always feared. When mentioning Hades, we often think of darkness, of the end of gloomy things, and in modern culture, his image is even more distorted. Do you remember Hades in Disney's animated film Hercules? A villain with blue fiery hair, a sarcastic voice, and a plot to overthrow Zeus? But that is not the real Hades in mythology. He is not an enemy of the other gods, nor is he a warlike person. In fact, Hades rarely leaves the underworld, and he just does his job quietly, without fanfare. So, before we enter his realm, let's put our preconceptions aside. Hades is not a devil, but a complex god, a ruler with heavy responsibilities. And to understand him better, we need to explore the place he calls home, the underworld. Now, imagine you have just stepped through the gates of the underworld. There is no sunlight, no bird song, only a thick fog covering everything. The sound of running water echoes from somewhere, mixed with the whispers of souls. This is the realm of Hades, an underground world where all the dead, from the great heroes to the unknown, must go. But don't think for a moment that the underworld is like the hell of our day where there is only fire and torture. No, the underworld in Greek mythology is much more complex, and it reflects a very unique view of death of the ancient Greeks. The underworld is divided into different areas, each for a different type of soul. First, we have the Fields of Asphodel, a vast misty land where the majority of human souls reside. This is not a place of joy, but it is not a place of suffering. The souls here live a pale, repetitive life like vague shadows with no clear memories of their previous lives. They wander, whisper, and gradually fade into the mist. That is the fate of ordinary people, neither too good nor too bad. But if you are a hero, someone who lives an admirable life, you will be able to go to Elysium Meadow. This is the paradise of the underworld, where gentle light shines, where there are green fields and melodious music. The souls here enjoy eternal peace as a reward for what they have done while alive. Elysium is proof that Hades not only punishes, but also rewards those who deserve it. And then, in the deepest, darkest part of the underworld is Tartarus, a giant pit where terrible sinners and overthrown titans are imprisoned. Tartarus is not only a prison, but also an endless abyss where the screams of the punished echo forever. It is where Sisyphus had to push the boulder up the hill, where the titans were chained in the darkness. Tartarus is a warning that even in the underworld, justice still exists. To reach these places, souls must cross the famous rivers of the underworld. First is the Styx, the river of oaths, where Charon, the old gaunt ferryman, ferries souls to the other side. But don't forget to bring a coin, because if you don't pay, Charon will leave you on the riverbank forever. Then there is the Acheron, the river of sorrow, and the Lethe, where souls drink to forget all memories of their previous lives. These rivers are not only boundaries, but also symbols of the transition between life and death. Hades sits on a throne at the center of the underworld with his wife Persephone by his side. He rules over everything from sorting souls to maintaining order. He is assisted by a number of special characters. Charon with his old boat, Cerberus, the giant three-headed dog who guards the gates to ensure no soul escapes, and the three judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus, who decide the fate of each soul. Compared to other cultures, the Greek underworld is unique. In Egyptian mythology, the afterlife is a place where souls are weighed for judgment. In Norse mythology, Valhalla is a paradise for warriors, but for the Greeks, the underworld is not just a final destination, but also a mirror of life, where your every action while alive is determined. Now, we come to one of the most famous stories in Greek mythology, the love, or rather, the controversial event between Hades and Persephone. This is not only a love story, but also a story about life, death, and the balance of nature. Let me go back in time to discover what happened. Persephone was the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of agriculture, who brought abundant harvests to the world. She was a beautiful, innocent maiden, often depicted with long, shiny hair and a smile as bright as the spring sunshine. One day, while Persephone was picking flowers in the fields with the nymphs, the earth suddenly shook. From underground, Hades appeared on a jet-black chariot, pulled by horses that breathed smoke. With a cold but determined gaze, he grabbed Persephone and took her to the underworld, while the people around him watched helplessly. Demeter, the grieving mother, miserable, searching for her daughter everywhere, she abandoned the world, causing the trees to wither, the land to become barren, and the cold winter to set in. Eventually, through Zeus's intervention, A deal was struck. Persephone ate 6 pomegranate seeds in the underworld, an act that bound her to the place. As a result, she had to spend 6 months of the year in the underworld, and the other 6 months she could return to her mother on Earth. That's why we have the seasonal cycle. When Persephone was in the underworld, Demeter was sad, and winter came. When she returned, spring and summer blossomed. But was this story really just a cruel kidnapping? Let's look a little deeper. Some scholars believe that Hades acted not just out of lust, but out of love. He was a lonely god, living in darkness, and Persephone was the light he craved. In the underworld, Persephone was not just a victim. She gradually becomes a queen, a ruler on par with Hades, with her own power and majesty. The pomegranate seeds she eats, is it forced or is it her own choice to accept her new destiny? This story is rich in symbolism. Hades represents death, Demeter represents life, and Persephone is the bridge between the two worlds. And it reminds us that life and death are not opposites, but two sides of the same cycle. In modern culture, this relationship is sometimes viewed through a negative lens, but for the ancient Greeks, it was an essential part of nature. Hades is not just a quiet god sitting on a throne. He also appears in many famous legends where we see more clearly his personality and power. Let's explore 3 typical stories. First is Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus, a talented musician, lost his beloved wife Eurydice in an accident. In grief, he decided to go to the underworld to beg Hades to return her. With the sound of his divine lyre, Orpheus made Cerberus stop growling, making the soul stop crying. Arriving before the throne of Hades and Persephone, he sang a song so emotional that even the cold god fell in love. Hades agreed to release Eurydice, but on one condition: Orpheus could not look back at her until he left the underworld. Unfortunately, just before leaving, Orpheus became suspicious and turned back, only to see Eurydice disappear forever. This story shows that Hades is not heartless, but he never gives in when the rules are broken. Next is Sisyphus, a clever but cunning king. Sisyphus once tricked Thanatos and Hades to avoid death, which led to his punishment in Tartarus. His punishment was to push a giant boulder up a hill, only to have it roll back down just as it reached the top. An endless cycle of despair. This is a testament to Hades' severity towards those who dare to challenge his order. Finally, there is Heracles and Cerberus. In one of the 12 labors, Heracles was tasked with capturing Cerberus, the 3-headed dog that guards the gates of the underworld. Instead of confronting him, Heracles approached Hades and asked for permission. Impressed by his bravery and respect, Hades agreed to lend Cerberus on the condition that Heracles would not harm it. This story shows that Hades is not always the enemy of heroes, but also a god who keeps his word. These legends show us a multifaceted Hades, fair, stern, but also not lacking in compassion in rare moments. So we've come a long way in exploring Hades and his underworld. From a misunderstood god, a just ruler of the underworld, to a central figure in emotional stories, Hades is not only a symbol of death, but also a reminder of the balance in the universe. He is neither a demon nor a hero, but an integral part of the cycle of life and death. Hades' legacy lives on in literature, art, and popular culture, from Renaissance paintings depicting him on his throne to modern films that cast him as a villain. Hades has always been a source of endless inspiration. But through this video, I hope you've seen a different side of Hades, a Hades who is complex, profound, and worth pondering. Thank you for joining me on this video. What do you think of Hades? Is he your favorite god? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos about mythology. See you in the next adventure.